All right, everyone. Officer meeting. Thanks for being here. We're going over strategy for the world first race next week.
Are we sure this channel is secure? No leaks?
Yeah, this is officers only. Everyone here has been with us for at least 6 months. We're good.
Should I be taking notes? I can document the strats.
Actually, yeah, good idea. You've been super helpful with raid planning. Go ahead.
Okay, so for Boss 3, we're going with the 2-tank strat instead of the 3-tank everyone else is doing. It's risky, but if we execute it right, we save 45 seconds.
Got it. 2 tanks. Save 45 seconds. What's the positioning?
This gives us a real shot at world first. Nobody else is doing this strat. We practiced it for weeks in secret.
It's brilliant. This is definitely going to work.
All right, remember, this doesn't leave this channel. No posting logs, no sharing with anyone. Operational security.
Absolutely. OPSEC is critical. Hey, raid leader, got the full strat for their world first attempt. Sending you the document now. They're doing 2-tank on Boss 3. Here's exactly how to counter it.
Holy shit, this is gold. 6 months of you playing the long game is about to pay off. They're going to walk into their raid, and we're going to counter everything they do.
They have no idea. They actually thanked me for taking notes.
You're a legend. When this is over, you're getting officer rank here, and a cut of the world first bonus.
Worth every minute of pretending to be their friend?
Welcome back to MMO Madness Behind the Troll Mask. I'm Boss Mode, and today we're talking about guild espionage, the spies who'll infiltrate enemy guilds, steal their secrets, and betray communities for competitive advantage or pure chaos. This is trolling as a long-term operation. Let's explore the world of guild spies. Before we get into legendary spy operation, let's break down how guild espionage actually works and what separates a successful spy from an obvious infiltrator. Guild espionage is when someone joins a guild with the secret intent to gather information, steal resources, or sabotage operations for the benefit of another guild or just for personal entertainment. The spy has a hidden agenda from day one. There are different types of spies. The corporate spy is sent by a rival guild to gather competitive intelligence. In competitive raiding, PvP, or EVE Online warfare, knowing your enemy's plans is invaluable. These spies are assets, not lone actors. The revenge spy joins specifically to hurt the guild that wronged them. Maybe they got kicked from the guild or someone in it betrayed them. They're motivated by personal vendetta. These are often the most destructive because they're driven by emotion, not strategy. The chaos agent doesn't care about competition or revenge. They just enjoy the drama and destruction. They pick a guild, infiltrate it, gain trust, then blow it up from the inside. The chaos is the goal. These are trolls who've turned espionage into their content. And there's the accidental spy, someone who joins a guild genuinely but then gets recruited by a rival to share information. They become a double agent, playing both sides. These are often the most conflicted because they develop real friendships in both guilds. A successful spy operation has distinct phases. First is the insertion, creating a character, applying to the target guild, then getting accepted. The spy needs a cover story. Why do you want to join? What's their background? They can't be suspicious from day one. Second is building trust phase. This takes months. The spy has to be active, helpful, and social. They participate in raids, contribute to the guild bank, make friends. They're investing time to build credibility. A spy who doesn't integrate gets suspected and kicked before they learn anything valuable. Third is the intelligence gathering phase. Once trusted, the spy gains access to officer channels, strategy documents, Discord channels, guild bank logs. They're quietly documenting everything. Who the key players are, what strategies are being developed, what resources the guild has, what their weaknesses are. Fourth is the exploitation phase. The spy uses the intelligence. Maybe they share it with a rival guild. Maybe they time a heist for when defenses are lowest. Maybe they sabotage at a critical moment, right before a world-first race or a major PvP operation. And fifth is the extraction or reveal. Some spies quietly fade away. Mission was accomplished. Others dramatically reveal themselves, posting all the information publicly and mocking the guild they betrayed. The reveal is about ego. I fooled you all for 6 months. What makes guild espionage particularly effective is the social engineering aspects. Spies aren't hacking anything or using exploits. They're manipulating human trust. Guilds are built on friendship and cooperations, and spies weaponize that. The best spies are patient. They understand that information gathered over months is more valuable than what they can grab in a week. They build relationships, not because they care, but because trusted insiders have access to everything. And they're compartmentalized. They keep their spy identity separate from their main identity. They might genuinely enjoy playing with the guild they're spying on, but when it's time to betray them, they flip that switch without hesitation. The psychology is fascinating and dark. You're befriending people you plan to betray. You're laughing at jokes while mentally categorizing who's important and who's expendable. You're participating in a community you're actively undermining. It requires a specific kind of emotional detachment. All right, let's get into the Hall of Infamy. These are espionage operations that became legendary for their scope, their impact, and their sheer audacity. This is probably the most famous spy operation in MMO history. In EVE Online, a corporation called Band of Brothers was one of the most powerful alliances in the game. They controlled massive amounts of territory and were considered nearly invincible. A player infiltrated BOB and worked his way up to director-level access over a course of a year. 1 year of patient espionage. He participated in wars, helped with logistics, became a trusted member of leadership. Nobody has suspected anything. Then one day, he disbanded their entire alliance. As a director, he had the power to do it. Band of Brothers, one of the most powerful organizations in EVE's history, ceased to exist in seconds. Thousands of players suddenly had no alliance. Their territory, their structures, their entire empire was gone. But he didn't stop there. He had also been secretly transferring assets to rival alliances. Ships, materials, ISK. Billions worth of resources quietly moved out of BOB's coffers over months. By the time the betrayal happened, BOB was already hollowed out from the inside. The rival alliances that had planted the spy immediately attacked BOB's former territory. Without alliance structure, the former BOB members couldn't coordinate defense. They lost everything. This wasn't just espionage. It was a multi-year operation that destroyed the most powerful alliance in EVE. CCPs investigated to see if it violated terms of service, but it didn't. It was emergent gameplay. Brutal, devastating, but it was allowed. The spy became an EVE legend. Some called him a genius. Others called him a monster. But everyone agreed he pulled off the most successful espionage operation in MMO history. He'd literally deleted an empire with one click. This is from World of Warcraft during the world first race for a major raid tier. Two guilds were competing neck to neck for world's first kills. Let's call them Guild A and Guild B. Guild B planted a spy in Guild A 3 months before their tier even launched. The spy was a competent raider who integrated well, got into the progression team, and became part of the strategy discussions. Guild A was developing innovative strategy for the bosses. They were theory crafting, testing, and optimizing. The spy documented everything and fed it to Guild B. Every new strategy Guild A developed, Guild B knew about it within hours. When the race started, Guild A kept hitting walls. Bosses they should have killed based on their strategies weren't dying. Guild B kept killing bosses first. It took Guild A a while to realize what was happening. Guild B was countering their strategies perfectly because they knew them in advance. The spy, who also sabotaged in subtle ways, accidentally pulling extra mobs during attempts, making mistakes that caused wipes. Nothing obvious enough to get kicked, but enough to slow progression by hours. By the time Guild A figured out they had a spy, it was way too late. Guild B won world first. The spy revealed himself after the race, posting screenshot of Guild A's strategy documents with timestamps showing when they were created versus when Guild B implemented counters. Guild A fell apart after this. The betrayal destroyed trust. Half the roster quit. They never recovered. The spy accomplished the goal. Eliminate the competitor by destroying them from within. This one's unusual because it didn't go according to plan. A player was sent by Guild A to spy on Guild B. Standard corporate espionage for a competitive PvP guild. The spy integrated into Guild B, started gathering intelligence, but over months he actually started liking Guild B. They were friendlier, less toxic, more fun to play with than his original guild. He made real friends. Then he met another player in Guild B, and they started an in-game relationship that became a real relationship. Voice calls, sharing personal stories, eventually meeting in real life. He fell in love while on a spy mission. Now he had a problem. He was supposed to betray Guild B, but he'd fallen for someone in it. He had intel his original guild wanted, but using it would hurt people he cared about. He made a choice. He confessed everything to Guild B leadership and his partner. He revealed that he was a spy, shared what his original guild was planning, and offered to be a double agent, feed false information back to the original guild. Guild B accepted. For the next 2 months, the spy fed his original guild completely wrong information. Fake strategies, false schedules, incorrect roster information. Guild A planned their attack based on lies. When Guild A attacked based on a false intel, Guild B was ready with completely different defenses. Guild A got demolished. They couldn't figure out why their intelligence was so wrong. The spy eventually left Guild A publicly, joined Guild B officially, and married the person he had fallen for. His spy operation turned into a love story with a betrayal of people who sent him. This shows the human element of espionage. Sometimes spies develop genuine connections that override their mission. Sometimes the betrayal goes in an unexpected direction. Final Fantasy XIV has free companies with shared resources. A player joined a wealthy FC specifically to rob it. This was planned from day one. Over 6 months they worked their way up to officer status. They were helpful, friendly, contributed to the FC bank. Leadership saw them as a model member. Eventually, they were given bank withdrawal permissions. They waited for the perfect moment, right after a big FC event when the bank was fully stocked with materials and guild from donations. Then they struck. In one night, they withdrew everything. Millions of gil, crafting materials, rare items, everything. They transferred it all to alt characters, then server transferred those alts. By morning, the FC bank was empty and the spy was gone. But the psychological damage was worse than the material loss. The FC had trusted this person. They'd shared personal stories, helped each other, built a community. The betrayal wasn't just about gold, it was about destroying trust in a close-knit group. Several FC members quit the game entirely. They couldn't handle the betrayal. The FC eventually dissolved because nobody trusted each other anymore. One spy destroyed a years-old community. The spy bragged about it on Reddit, posting screenshots of the haul and mocking the FC for being too trusting. The community roasted them, but the damage was done. That spy showed how effective social engineering could be in stealing resources. This one's complex. Guild A planted a spy in Guild B. Guild B discovered the spy but didn't kick them. They turned them into a double agent, feeding false info back to Guild A. But then Guild C recruited the same person to spy on Guild B. Now the player was a triple agent, officially in Guild B, reporting to Guild A and Guild C, with Guild B knowing about Guild A, but not Guild C. The player managed this for 3 months. They had multiple Discord accounts, multiple stories, multiple sets of fake information going to different guilds. It was an absurd juggling act. Eventually it all collapsed when the player got confused about which guild they were talking to and set the wrong information to the wrong Discord. Guild C got intelligence meant for Guild A, which revealed the Guild B double agent operation, which exposed everything. All 3 guilds found out they had been playing spy games with each other. The fallout was spectacular. Alliances broke, wars started, leadership quit. The chaos was so extensive that the server's politics were changed for months. The triple agent claimed they did it all for lows. They enjoyed the complexity of juggling 3 separate espionage operations. They weren't loyal to anyone. They were just seeing how far they could push the chaos. This is a revenge spy story. A player got kicked from a top rating guild for, in their opinion, bullshit reasons. They decided to destroy the guild systematically. They created a new character, applied to the guild with a completely different persona, and got accepted. Then they started a year-long operation of sabotage and intelligence gathering. They didn't do anything obvious. They'd volunteer for important roles, then make small mistakes during crucial moments. Oops, I pulled the boss too early. Sorry, I forgot to interrupt. Little things that caused wipes but looked like accidents. They also poisoned the social environment. They'd stir up drama between members, spread rumors, create divisions. Did you hear what X said about you? All while maintaining a friendly, helpful persona. And they gathered dirt on everyone. Screenshots of officer meetings, logs of drama, evidence of rule violations. They were building a case against the entire guild. After 1 year, they revealed everything, posted a massive document exposing guild drama, leadership failures, and rule violations. shared strategy documents with rival guilds, and posted screenshots proving they'd been sabotaging for a year. The guild exploded. Half the roster quit immediately. Leadership stepped down. Rival guilds attacked their progression. Within 2 weeks, the guild disbanded. One person's year-long revenge operation destroyed a top 100 world guild. That's the power of patient, methodical espionage combined with personal vendetta. This one's from EVE Online. A spy infiltrated a major industrial corporation, one that manufactured ships and modules for the entire alliance. The spy wasn't there to steal materials. They were there to destroy the economy. Over months, the spy gained access to production chains, logistics, and pricing information. They learned everything about how the core's economy worked. Then they struck. They sabotaged production by deliberately creating insufficient production queues. They manipulated market orders to sell below cost. They accidentally delivered supplies to the wrong locations, all while maintaining plausible deniability. Just mistakes, not sabotage. Within weeks, the core's profit margins collapsed. They were losing ISK on every transaction but couldn't figure out why. Their alliance started having supply shortages because the core couldn't keep up with the production. The spy's goal wasn't to steal, it was to cripple. They wanted the core to fail economically, which would weaken the entire alliance's ability to wage war. When the sabotage was discovered, the alliance had lost billions in ISK and their war effort had stalled. The spy had accomplished more damage than a direct military attack could have done. This showed how espionage could target economies instead of military assets. Destroying a supply chain is sometimes more effective than destroying ships. So, how do guilds try to protect themselves from spies? And why do they usually fail? The first method is the trial period. Don't give new members access to anything sensitive for 30 to 90 days. They can raid, they can participate, but they can't see officer channels or access the guild bank. This filters out impatient spies. Problem is, good spies are patient. They'll happily wait 3 months if it means getting trusted. Trial periods just extend the operation timeline without actually preventing espionage. Second is background checks. Require new applicants to provide their main character name, previous guilds, and references. Verify their story. Check if they've been in rival guilds. Problem: spies use fresh characters or bot accounts with clean histories. They fabricate convincing stories, and checking every applicant thoroughly takes time most guilds don't have. Third is compartmentalization. Only give people access to information they need. Raiders don't need to know bank contents. Bank officers don't need to know raid strategies. Limit information flow. Problem: this makes the guild less efficient. Communication becomes harder, and determined spies just work their way up the hierarchy until they have access to everything anyway. Fourth is honeypots. Plant false information and see if it leaks. If you tell person A one thing and person B something different, and A's version shows up in a rival guild, you know A is a spy. Problem: this requires careful coordination and paranoia. And smart spies won't leak everything they learn, just the most valuable stuff. They might not fall for honeypots. Fifth is loyalty test. Put people in situations where they have to choose the guild over other interests. See how they react. Test their commitment. Problem is, this creates a toxic, paranoid environment. People feel like they're being tested constantly. It damages morale and drives away legitimate members while spies just pass the test. Sixth is monitoring communications. Watch for suspicious behavior. Who's asking too many questions? Who's taking screenshots of officer discussions? Who's trying to access information above their rank? Problem, this creates a surveillance state within your guild. People resent being watched, and good spies are subtle enough to not trigger obvious red flags. And seventh is insider threats. Counter spies who infiltrate rival guilds and report back if your guild's information is being shared. Fight spies with spies. The problem is now you're running your own espionage operations, which means you're engaging in the same ethically questionable behavior you're trying to prevent. It's a race to the bottom. The fundamental problem is that guilds are built on trust and cooperation. Effective anti-spy measures require paranoia and suspicion. You can't have both trust and perfect security. Most guilds err to the side of trust because paranoid guilds are miserable to be in. But that makes them vulnerable to patient, skilled spies, and its unsolvable dilemma. The guilds that are best at catching spies are the ones who've been burned before. They're paranoid because they've learned to be, but the paranoia makes them less appealing to legitimate recruits too. Let's talk about what it's like to actually be a guild spy. What's the psychological experience of befriending people you plan to betray? First, there's the initial excitement. You're on a secret mission. You have a hidden agenda. Every interaction is a part of the game. You're playing a role, and successfully deceiving people provides a rush. It's like being a spy in a movie. But over time, that excitement becomes stress. You have to maintain the deception constantly. Every conversation is a performance. You can't slip up, can't reveal your true intentions. The cognitive load of managing dual identities is exhausting. Then there's the relationship complication. You start to actually like some of the people you're spying on. You laugh at their jokes. You help them with problems. You build genuine rapport. But you know you're going to betray them eventually. Some spies compartmentalize this easily. They're not real friends, they're targets. They maintain emotional distance even while acting friendly. They're sociopathic in the clinical sense, able to mimic connection without feeling it. Other spies struggle with it. They feel guilty. They start questioning whether the operation is worth it. Some spies abandon their mission because they can't bring themselves to betray people they've grown to care about, like our double agent love story. There's also the moral rationalization. Spies tell themselves stories to justify what they're doing. It's just a game. They do the same to us. This is competitive gameplay. They deserve it for being naive. The rationalization helps them sleep at night. And there's the ego factor. Being a successful spy makes you feel clever and powerful. You're fooling everyone. You know secrets. You're pulling off something difficult. That ego boost can become addictive. Some people become career spies because they're hooked on that feeling of being smarter than everyone else. The aftermath varies. Some spies feel triumphant. They accomplished their mission. They won the game within the game. They brag about it, post screenshots, enjoy their villain status. Others feel hollow. They destroyed relationships, hurt people who trusted them, and for what? Some in-game advantage? A few laughs. The dopamine hit of betrayal fades fast. They're left with the memory of people they genuinely liked who now hate them. And some spies regret it completely. They realize they sacrificed real friendships for a game. MMO relationships might start as pixels, but they can become genuine friendships. Burning those for a spy operation can feel like a terrible trade. The spies who become legendary are the ones who either don't care about the human cost or who are so compartmentalized they never let themselves care in the first place. They're effective because they're emotionally detached, but that detachment comes at a psychological price. Let's talk about what happens when a spy gets caught or reveals themselves. The fallout from espionage operations often exceeds the immediate damage. First, there's the immediate chaos. When a guild discovers they have a spy, paranoia explodes. Everyone suspects everyone. Who else might be compromised? Who can we trust? The spy might be gone, but the damaged trust remains. Leadership starts interrogating people. They review logs, check access histories, question members. It creates an inquisition atmosphere that makes everyone uncomfortable. Even innocent members feel accused. Some guilds purge. They kick anyone who joined recently or anyone they're not 100% sure about. Better safe than sorry. This often means losing legitimate members who've done nothing wrong. The spy paranoia legacy claims victims beyond themselves. There's also the reputation damage. That guild got infiltrated, becomes server knowledge. They look weak, naive, easy to exploit. Other guilds mock them. Recruitment becomes harder because people wonder if it'll happen again. The actual harm from the espionage, stolen strategies, lost resources, sabotage operation is often less than the trust damage. You can replace gold, but you can't replace a community's faith in each other. Some guilds never recover. The betrayal breaks something fundamental. Key members quit. Leadership steps down. The guild slowly dies over months as people drift away to environments that feel safer. Other guilds use it as a rallying point. We got betrayed, but we're going to rebuild stronger. We'll implement better security. We'll prove we can overcome this. The adversity brings them together instead of tearing them apart. For the spy, there are consequences too. They're blacklisted from guilds they betrayed and often from the broader server community. Their reputation as a spy follows them. No one trusts them because they've proven they're willing to betray. Some spies embrace this. They become known quantities. Yeah, they're a spy. Don't recruit them. They operate in the shadows. Mercenaries for hire by guilds who want intelligence but don't care about ethics. Others regret it and try to rebuild their reputation. They apologize, try to make amends, swear they've changed. Some communities forgive. Most don't. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to fully restore. And rarely spies become legends in the positive sense. The band of brother spy is respected in E for pulling off the most audacious operation in game's history. Love him or hate him, he's remembered. For some spies, that legacy is worth the cost. Guild espionage is trolling as a long-term investment. It's betrayal as a strategy. It's the dark side of the trust that makes guilds function. If you're a spy, understand what you're actually doing. You're not clever, you're exploiting human trust for pixels or ego. The people you're fooling might be real friends under different circumstances. That's not gameplay, that's sociopathic behavior with the video game as an excuse. And if you're running a guild, know that perfect security is impossible. You can minimize risk, but you can't eliminate it without destroying the community you're trying to protect. Trust is a vulnerability, but it's also what makes guilds worth being in. The spies might win battles, but they lose at the human game. They trade relationships for advantages that fade the moment the server shuts down or the next expansion launches. What remains is the memory of who they chose to be. Next week on MMO Madness Behind the Troll Mask, we're diving into our season finale, The Troll Who Went Too Far, Real World Consequences. We're talking about trolls who crossed from virtual harassment into real world crime, swatting incidents, doxing that ruined lives, and when online behavior became actual legal trouble. You definitely don't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and support the podcast. Tell your guildmates and share it on your Discord and leave us a review. And if you've got a spy story, betrayed or betrayer, email us at podcast@MMOmadness. Until then, trust carefully, verify always, and remember, loyalty is earned, not assumed. I'm Boss Mode, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.